shoot some of the public spots around Monmouth that you would remember, perhaps help you through a bit of nostalgia, years to come. I couldn't think of a better place to start this than the public square, as you see it is. And as you further can see now that I'm looking directly east, and you see some familiar landmarks there. We'll take a closer look at all of these things. I thought I'd just do a little panoramic spin for you now, and we're going to head around to the north, the National Bank building, the Elks building. Trees are going to get in the way, I suspect. There's Norris Office Equipment. There's a donut place in there now. And around to the corner, which used to be the Review Atlas, is now entirely the Kellogg Printing Company. And now we're looking directly down North Main Street. There's Stanton's law offices. Now there's Radio Shack in the corner. It used to be Johnson's Paint and Wallpaper. And there, of course, is the courthouse. Give you a full view. And then we'll look directly down West Broadway. The traffic still moves around the square, with the right-of-way belonging to the people who are already on the square. If you're entering it, you wait. There's Romano's agency. Used to be Gamble, you may remember, for a long time. There are other businesses in there now, but the library owns the major part of that building, and they use the major part. And along Carwell Paint Store, and Trust Bank. Now we're looking directly south, South Broadway. Little office building where security used to be, Security Savings and Loan. The radio station is now right at that spot. Law offices of History, Love, Beal and Pratt. And Bowman Shoe Store, you may remember, is right there. Market Alley, and that in front of that store. Oh, I've forgotten the clothing man that used to be there, but that's now an optometrist place. That building is empty right in the middle, but right on the corner, Martha McClintock has real estate agency. And we are now back facing east on Broadway. East Broadway. To show you that they've done some things here at the park. It was a pretty messy place for many, many years. Just recently they've done things like this. Beautify it. Some benches, flowers, so forth. Another one, so forth. And they're this way all the way around. Why don't we first take a jaunt down South Broadway? And I'll bring in some highlights. We'll go out as far as would seem to be of any interest to you, and pick up some of the sights. Okay? Well, Pete, some of these places haven't changed much. The architecture hasn't, but you can see that this is now a dollar store as of the last year or so. Well, the Rivoli Theater has not changed a bit. This, you probably have some memories of. Our old neighbor Paralee, in business for so long in Monmouth, now is reduced to that little spot, and of course she doesn't run it anymore. I think a daughter does it. see what's playing. Roger Rabbit and No Holds Barred. How about that? We now see the movies there, Pete, for $1.50. Eat your heart out. We could go down the way a ways here and you would recognize these places. Flowers in there now. Spurgeons you would remember. They've been there quite a while. And then Park and Eat Restaurant. Well, I've just gone directly across the street. I'm standing in front of the theater now. And that used to be Peter's jewelry store, and of course the radio station used to be up above. It's gone, and I'll have to show you that on another tour of the square. And the usual places, there's Alfano's Pizza. I don't remember if they were here or not. And this is the Bowman store, which is just about no more. They sell very few things there. Pretty much vacant. Used to be the Port Cigar Store on down the old post office. Well, there's Turnbull's Funeral Home, Pete. Been there for many years. Owned by one family, John Turnbull, is pretty much in charge now. And Dr. Roller's office is now the office of a podiatrist. The doctor who took Dr. Roller's place when he retired, a young doctor, is now has his office and a complex of offices out at the hospital. There's the fire station. I hope you're able to see something. We're shooting more or less into the sun. Interestingly, when I was down at the square starting to come down this block, the sirens over the courthouse were going, and I didn't quite get set up to catch it on the tape, or the sound on the tape. But it looks like the trucks are back now. Well, here's a place you might remember just over the track south. Maple City Steel Company. Run by the O'Daniels, still is. I suspect John O'Daniel probably is the motivating force there now. They are still in business. And this whole building. Well, I don't know if you want to be reminded of this place or not. You spent some hot summer hours working for these people, out detasseling and roguing and whatnot. But it's still here, going strong. Taken over, well, merged with Pfizer, so it's now DeKalb Pfizer. Well, I brought you out to the south intersection. This ought to orient you. Car on its way to Kirkwood. You may remember that this was Russ Motors. Still has a sign that says Russ Motors, but it is Russ Motors no more. There's nothing here. Russ died this last year. Then east there's the Cameron Road. And on around to show you that they still sell Chevrolets on this corner. It is now called Bruce Foote Chevrolet. I suspect they do about the same amount of business as always. Back down toward town. Well, I realize that photographically this is not the best technique. I'm shooting into the sun. But I'm sort of committed myself to going around the square clockwise. So then you would be aware that this is now West Broadway. There still isn't very much out there, I guess, that would be of great interest, but there are a couple of things, so let's go on down anyway. Well, first of note, of course, going west on Broadway is Immaculate Conception Church. I've caught all the traffic and all of the power lines, but this is still the best shot. And next door Ah yes, Willett School. I realize, Pete, this doesn't have too many memories for you. You never went here. But for the rest of the family, yes. Not so many in this building, of course, its predecessor. We probably should do a swing around here, though, because, I don't know. No, there's nothing here. We'll have to go back. Well, I came out here for one major reason, I guess. Do you recognize this place? Well, there was a time I remember when you used to prize the... oh, what? I think it was pork tenderloins. Used to be Maxie's, now called Patty's, but it's still here. Many ownerships in the last couple of decades, but it still does business. Well, I don't know if you can read that or not. Monmouth 1983 Class 3A football state champions. A few years ago, but it was a proud moment. I thought since we were on West Broadway, we would just drop down Sunny Lane, South Sunny Lane, and see the football field. Sunny Lane, recent addition. All the way around, there's the schedule for this year. And the gate. Pete, I thought I'd orient you a little bit. We're farther out on West Broadway, out beyond the intersection of the bypass around town. You could recognize, I guess McCoy's bike shop would be right there. There are the road signs, the bypass around Monmouth. And then this perhaps to show you a little more. Monmouth Municipal Pool, camping and fishing and entrance. To be oriented further, we'll pan around east, south. There are the lights to Sunny Lane Field where we just were. Across the highway you can see some of the traffic. This whole area has been opened up, and there's the Monmouth Municipal Pool, open for the summer. It's quite a place. And I think what we'll do, the road leading into it, and there's the road we just came in on. There's the gate to the park. And we'll just take that road and go up, and you can see what now is Citizens Lake. It's really Citizens Lakes. Well, Pete, we just came down this road this way. Not quite sure how to orient you. That shows the bypass 34 going in front of us. There are the lights to Sunny Lane Field. And actually, I guess the road to Citizens Lake off Sunny Lane used to run right about down through here and probably came out about where we are right here. Down through to there. And then whatever beach we had must have been in here. But this is the way the lake looks now. It's really very nice. And this is used for fishing primarily. Some boating if you want, but no power boats. And no swimming. What was the municipal pool just a couple 100 yards away. Very nice. Now we'll go on the other side of this road and the other side of these trees. Down this road. And we'll show you the other way. Okay, there's the road we just came down. Down here. We're going to be shooting right into the sun. I don't know what this will do. But this is the North Lake. And still this is used just for boating. Fishing, but not swimming. It's posted no swimming all the way. And we didn't see it before, but right in there is a camping area now. Full facilities. In back of the pool. And we sat last night on a knoll right there. This is the 5th of July. Right there we sat on a knoll. Pam and John, your mother and I, Greg and Beck, and watched fireworks over the lake. Shot off from a spot just the other side of this tree. Good fireworks. Well, we'd better get back to town. Well, Pete, while I was in this part of town, on my way back from the West End, I thought I might just as well stop and do homage to this place, which holds deep memories for you, I am sure. It's maybe changed a little bit on the outside. They've done some additions and so forth. But this is your high school. Stopped filming right there mostly because I thought this was probably the entrance to the high school that you would have used the most and been the most familiar with. It was cut off from view before. I'm standing in the parking lot of the Lutheran Church. Well, I was standing in the parking lot right there. While I'm here, why don't we just take a look at the Lutheran Church? Can't back off far enough to get it all in one shot, so we'll have to pan it this way. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, yep, we are back on the public square. This time we are looking north. And there is North Main Street, all the way. I looked at it before, but there's Stanton's on that corner, Insurance. And this side, what used to be the Review Atlas, is now Kellogg Printing. And we'll go down the street and look at a few items. All right, yes. There is City Hall. And if you look down, of course, is the county jail. used to be Barnes Grocery, is now turned into one of the very low-cost stores. Okay, now I'm going to go across the street and shoot back this way. Well, here's a store I'm sure you remember. No longer occupied. It says there, Hines and McClintock. It's been empty for a year or so. I understand he's still, well, Hines has a store yet in Galesburg. At the end of the building there, Buff Howell has his photographic studio. Used to be a funeral home. Hoover's before he moved out. There's sort of a truck in the way, but there's Vic Roy's furniture. Okay. And if we would go up the other side of the block, Daily Fresh, State Farm, and all right. I'm at Axline's drugstore. I'm going to have to be careful, the light isn't very good here. But this is what it looks like. One time or another in high school, both Pam and John worked here. Pam now comes in as a substitute pharmacist every now and then, help Bill out. Across the street, the building I guess that wasn't there when you were around, Pete. It's a savings association of some sort. We'll go along. Well, we may have to stop in a minute, but this is a community bank, which is operated by the Hardens Community Bank. And around, and this is now a Chinese restaurant. It's been many things. Greek restaurant, paint store, whatnot. Well, I don't know entirely what I'm getting. It says Dairy Queen, but you'll remember this place, Pete, as Mr. Quick. There's a lineup of small establishments there. The last one, which is you'll get your driver's license. Having a poor lighting situation, but this is filling station 3, started by Hubie Hedrick, a name you may remember. They have a little beer garden effect out there now, and this is now owned and operated by Chuck Fry, Bill Fry's brother, whom you may remember. Across the street now, I'm shooting for places that might be landmarks for you. Go to Zimmer's Apothecary. Now, to this next door. Would you believe it? Hey, Hardee's! This is one of the early Hardee's in the country, by the way. The daughter of one of the people who first started Hardee's was going to school at Monmouth College at the time, and so probably there was some influence there to get one in Monmouth. And down the way, I'm sure you would remember what is now Breen's Cleaners, but used to be Killers for years and years and years. Well, as you can see, I've buzzed out pretty much the length of North Main Street to West Harlem. I don't think you ever had much to do with this Y. It is the new Y. It's out just by the hospital, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. This is the YMCA, and a very nice one it is. There's a place you'll remember, I'm sure. Perhaps can't determine too much right now. I'll back off a little. There's a helicopter pad right in front of me. This is the Monmouth Hospital. And fighting late afternoon lighting conditions. The hospital's been transformed somewhat here. That now is the entrance to a group of doctors. I mentioned earlier Dr. Brawler's successor is out here now, associated rather loosely, I gather, with Doctors Ambrose and Chamberlain, both names that you would remember. They have their offices now in that corner of the hospital. Your mother works here, volunteer, various capacities, registration desk sometimes, and also she works receptionist for Galesburg specialists that come over here one day a week. Monmouth Hospital. Well, and here's North 11th Street. VFW. Up the hill. And there is the airport. What do you know? Whoops. Well, we might as well go across to the airport if we can ever get across the street here. Some time. Go. By Monmouth Park. While we're right here, let's just zip into the airport. Take some shots of some familiar scenes for you, Maggie, huh? Over to the fence. Well, Pete, does this look a little bit familiar? The airport, the hangar. It's got a new gas pump. They didn't have any here for a while. I guess they were fighting insurance problems with gas and all. Not much to see. All the way around to the north. Hey, look, there's somebody coming in. Wonder who's flying this afternoon, this late. We'll see if he does it right, smoothly. Well, I heard him. He did pretty well. Oh, hey, it's Donnie Tomlin. Hey, Don.
Hi.
You have a good ride?
Oh, yeah, it's nice out.
Yeah, it really is great.
Yeah.
I caught you coming in.
Did you? I don't think I've ever made one on tape before. How bad was it?
Well, it was okay. It was okay.
Good.
Yeah. Making this tape for my son, Pete. You want to say hi, Pete?
Oh, hi, Pete. I understand you're a pilot.
Well, what he will tell you is he's not licensed anymore, but
well.
he put in a lot of hours out here.
It doesn't take much.
How's it up there today, okay?
It's not too bad. I thought it was going to be a little bumpier than it is, but the sun's over far enough that it's probably not too bad.
You got some haze?
Yeah, there is some haze, but we'll be able to see a few things, I think.
Oh, Are you offering me a ride?
Would you like to go for a ride?
Hey, that'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what it takes here.
Okay.
Let me get backed off here a little bit. Okay, we'll get a shot of Don here. Looks like he's all ready to go.
Yeah.
Look at the inside of this 172, Pete. I'm sure that it looks familiar to you. I remember going on at least one ride with you with a 172. Well, we'll give you a little thrill, Pete. I'm going to make us go backwards. Well, good ride, Donnie.
Well, I'm glad you went.
Going to put her away now?
I say, yeah, I can push it back in the barn here.
Okay, I'll give you a hand.
All right, thanks.
Well, yes, we've been here before. We're on the public square. We're looking east. That gives you the direction. And what we're going to do is go down East Broadway, and of course, there's an awful lot to see along the way. Here we go. All right, National Bank, first thing off the square. That all belongs to the bank now. All of that. And there, of course, is what used to be Worth's bookstore. There's now a lunch place. All right, I was standing right there. And this, of course, that was Martha McClintock's place. A couple of places, business places, financial advisement, and of course, there is the model. This is probably as good a place as any, just to cross the street, South First Avenue. These are now law offices, Stancil, and so forth. On down to the Methodist Church. Worth's Corner again. Go east, and this is now the Colonial Drive-In. You'll remember Colonial, so named because the old Colonial Hotel used to stand there. This is now the Security Savings and Loan, owned and operated by Ralph White. And we can look at the temperature and time, and it is 95 degrees in Monmouth. And this may be just as good a place as any to get the old First Presbyterian Church, now called Heritage. Now standing under that weather sign that you just saw, and I will there, of course, is the Methodist Church. Probably as good a place as any to pan further. There's South 2nd, and there is a landmark in Monmouth. Used to be the Jensen House. Well, just to orient you here, I'm standing in the driveway of what was a standard station. There's our old house across. This, what used to be the Shell station, is now the law offices of Ralph Butler. Mostly I wanted to come across the street and show you. This is where Merrill's studio used to be. Now a lawyer's house. And here is the castle, the Carr Mansion, which is now, by the way, a bed and breakfast, owned by a lawyer in town. You know, because of the foliage, I don't think I'm going to get a better shot of this house than this. This was known as the Hunter House. Right next to it, you just see the white porch. I don't know, the Keats lived right next door, and that was sort of an overflow house for them for a long time. But to show you this mostly because they really have done some interesting redecorating. One of the Rankin twins and his wife bought this house, and they've spent a lot of time reconstructing it. A lot of it on the inside. It's an interesting house. This, of course, is the old Caldwell house, later owned by Dr. Ebersole and the Ebersole family, and more recently by Tim Owen for a long time. And I don't know who's in there now. Here is a closer shot of the house that's owned by young Rankin now. Well, I wasn't necessarily going to spend any time with this, even though it's a well-known spot for you. It is the Standard Station next to where we lived on the corner of South 4th. I was just inside talking to the owner, Dave Reiner, who was a classmate of Pam's, I think, in high school. I was just kidding him whether he was operating here a used car lot, a parking lot, or what. He just laughed. He says, whatever makes money. You can see he deals with U-Hauls and pumps no gas anymore. There's not enough money in the gas business, he says. Well, just to orient you if you need it, there's the Rankin house again. I'm standing in front of the Manor. This is the corner of 6th Street and East Broadway. There are apartments there now. You may remember that was the site of the teak house when you were very young. And here is the ad building. As you can read. Administration, admissions. Administration, much of it, well, the president's office and the dean's office are no longer here. They're down on the first floor of Wallace Hall. Just going to turn around and show you what I can of the Manor. There's so much vegetation here. The trees are so big you couldn't see it if I went across the street anyway. So I'll just show what I can. You'll recognize it. There's the big porch. And of course, in Dr. Gibson's time, this was the president's home. And somewhere up on the second floor, this house gained some notoriety. It housed Agnes Moorehead, the actress, when she came to visit. She was a classmate in college of Dr. Gibson's wife, Helen. This, you'll remember, is the house across from the auditorium. This is Dr. Chamberlain's house. And next door was where Dr. Elder, the dentist, lived. And you can't see it very well, but there is Dr. Ketter's house. And there's where Woodbine used to be, but it's just a vacant lot now. Just from in front of Dr. Chamberlain's house is Marshall Hall. And in front of Dr. Elder's house, this is the auditorium and the chapel. But this is North 9th Street, for the moment looking west. And there's the campus. I realize that it's an important feature along East Broadway, which is our path right now. But I think I'll treat it as a separate entity. North 9th Street, there's a glimpse of Austin Hall and the houses here. That house, of course, belonged to the Loyas for a lot of years. And across the street, down. I think I'll go down and take a look at one special house there. And this is a house on the corner. Who was it? Florence's lived there. I don't know if you knew any of them or not. And then full circle around, there is South 9th. There's a house now owned by Chuck Fry and his the daughter of the Arthurs, Anne, who was his wife. Chuck, as I guess I mentioned when we were on North Main Street, owns and operates Filling Station 3, the restaurant. At the young age of 30 somewhere, he just had open heart surgery. Now his bones coming along okay. Well, I trust you can see that this is the Mellinger building, or I guess more appropriately the professional building on East Broadway. We'll take a chance on it. Mellinger building. It's a vacant lot. And this is a house of some note, Pete. You remember when Dave Knott was here for a year and little Mikey Knott? They lived in this house. It might interest you to know that Mike is now married to a young opera star named Dawn Upshaw, and that's a name that will be heard. She's only 26 now, but she already is singing at the Met. I think she was Father Dave's student at Illinois Wesleyan. Went on to bigger and greater things. Now, of interest, this house is now owned by Tom Booth, who is also a Met opera star, young and coming. He married Prescott Johnson's daughter. They met at Oberlin College. And I talked to him yesterday, and he was on his way to Japan. And I guess there's his wife Beth now, just came home. United Parcel Delivery. Beth is a pianist, teaches at Knox College piano. All in all, an interesting situation. Well, this perhaps is as good a time as any to start filming the campus. Here's Austin Hall. A lot of foliage here. It's going to be kind of hard to get much of a shot of Austin Hall, but there it is. I'm sure you've done some work in there in your time. I did. For starters, here's Wallace Hall, Residence Hall. And we'll zip past what would be the Student Center, but for the trees. And there's the old science building. And I might throw in something here that you wouldn't be too familiar with. But that whole upper floor there used to be the old chemistry lab, and that's the spot where I, in my last 2 years at Monmouth, established a career planning placement office. It's a beautiful setting up there. It's a library type setting, and the college at that time spent some $30,000 renovating that nice big long room with all of its windows and light. They wanted to chop it up into small rooms. I said no, and I prevailed, luckily enough, and it's just one beautiful large room now. Well, you can sure tell I'm slipping. I called this Wallace Hall. This is the south end. Of course, it's McMichael Residence Hall for women. And this goes across to the Student Center. It's going to be hard to get much of anything in the way of panorama with all of the trees and so forth. At this commencement, this past commencement, the Student Center was fully named for Admiral Stockdale. Now, you have a book now written by Admiral Stockdale and his wife, even autographed to you. He was an ATO. You may remember, was prisoner of war, Vietnam. He came here, and gave a little speech right here in front of the front entrance. And by the way, that whole mess of concrete there that many of us fought when it went in is going to be grass and a plaza of some sort, which will be a tremendous improvement. It was thought originally that was needed for parking. That's why it was put in there. Let's just pan from there. That concrete that you see right there is all that remains of the power plant. And that was a tremendous relief when that all came down. That part was necessary because a lot of connecting underground works channeled into that place, and it couldn't be replaced. But the main campus heating now, which used to be here, is now in the science building. And on up the hill, for what it's worth with all the trees and so forth. Here's the back side of the old science building. Pete, I should pause right here, point out this is the driveway leading out to, there's Boston Hall, and around, and point out that there is the site, was the site of the cannon, which has now been removed for the purpose of the new theater, which will be just the other side of that sidewalk. And it will have a little plaza in front named after Gracie Peterson. Ground was broken for that at this year's commencement, and I really thought there would be a hole in the ground already, but something must be holding it up. It's due to be finished by school next year. And there's the path up the hill to Wallace Hall. Oh good, we're hearing the chimes. I hope that we can pick them up. I guess they're going to strike the hour of 2. O'clock. Pardon me, it's earlier than I thought. Around to the old science building. The more familiar site of McMichael Hall. You can tell it's summer vacation time with all the maintenance trucks parked around. You can see, let's take a panoramic sweep. Here, the driveway beside McMichael. To Greer. Once again, cars parked back here, which normally aren't during the year. You see a bit of windbiggler in the sidewalk up the hill. And we'll go past the library over to the science building and on through. You can just see Fulton Hall, which isn't enjoying any more use now than it did when you were here. Of course, all of this now is in front of the tennis courts. I'm going to take this walk now between the tennis court and the student center, and we'll take a look down from the center of the campus. Still called People's Park, I guess. Alright, just a slight shift there is the old gymnasium. There's the entrance to the new. And We'll get closer and take a better look at that. Just as well take in the side of the Red Barn Theater, the fate of which I guess is unknown, but with the new theater I suspect it will be put away, space used for parking. There's the gymnasium. And a view of the entrance as I promised. Past the old building, which has been beautifully refurbished on the inside, has a number of nice facilities, handball courts, gymnasium, and so forth. There's the science building. And around to the library. And there are people around. Back of Windbigler Hall and the back of the Student Center. Well, there's Fulton Hall and a bit of the ATU House. I'll give you a better shot of that later. Graham Hall, and once again the Science Building. It's a better documentation of the Science Building, which, as you know, is the Holloman Thiessen Science Center. Well, for orientation, here's Holloman Thiessen. The sidewalk around, you may remember, to the library. I can see a nice shot of the library coming up here in a minute. Oh, there's Dr. Spitz. No doubt going to the library to do some research. I think he's retiring after this year. I remember from the past a nice shot here. Let me see if I can get it. There it is. Just in time to see Dr. Spitz disappearing into the library. Those flowers are neat. There we go. There are some really good things one can say about Beaufried. These things were important to him, the looks. And he had those flower beds put in. From the corner of the library porch over to the science building, the back entrance, I always felt this to be a very photogenic spot for the science building. These flowers one more time. Very nice. Just a quick look at the back entrance to the science building. Very nice architecture. And on across the ball diamond, quick look at the athletic field and the entrance to Hughes Library. better look at the library entrance. Read what it says. There you go, Pete. Alpha Tau Omega. Not sure what the place meant to you, all in all, but it's there, thriving as much as ever. Here's Graham Hall, still not used by the college, and we'll just take a quick panning around. This is a softball field, women's softball, baseball diamond, and you probably have never had this look at the campus. The athletic field, fraternity complex, the new bleachers. Notice that the Mates building is no longer there. And there's Liedman Hall, Cleland Hall, round to the library complex. And there's the press box and the bleachers right between the goalposts. Slow, but I'm going to try to get this last shot across here, across the back entrance. To the science building. And into, as I was about to close shop, an old buddy. Say hi to Pete, Bill.
Hi, Pete.
There you go. Well, this is the boat ramp at Oquawka. Somebody going out. See if there's anything interesting on the river. Go out in the sunshine here, due south.
First time up there, he's 0 for 1. Well, it's filling up. It's almost at the 10-foot level. When it reaches 10 feet, the gates should open. And let that barge through. There it goes. Peter's watching things happen. And here he comes through. When he's all in, they'll lower those gates, go out there, on down the river. There's already a barge waiting to load up coming back this way. Cider time.
They got
This is North 6th Street and the old hangar.
As a pinch hitter, hitting .335 on the year.
One strike to count. This one.
Sizer, that was a breaking ball that caught the outside part of the plate. Smith fought it off, put the ball in play, and able to come up with a base.
Not much of a shot here, Pete, but this is the Huff House. I don't know if you ever was here much when Alvy was in school with you. This house has some note now from Monmouth College. I understand it's been purchased from the Huffs by the Kappas, which now means that the two first founding sorority houses are on the Monmouth College campus. Holt House, and now this was the Weir House at that time. And speaking of Holt House,
well, Pete, I hope this short Monmouth Revisited will essentially meet your desires to recall some of the sights and events that were familiar to you in your hometown. I didn't cover all of the sites that you might have wished. I did include those that seemed to me would be most significant for you. I also tried to get those that would be most familiar to you, but I did include some of the newer things in Monmouth that might be of interest to you. It was a lot of fun. I found out I was no cinema photographer, and but I hope all the little blips and so forth you can overlook. Anyway, happy birthday.
This is the photographer's assistant, speaking to you from station BALL, Monmouth, Illinois, on this July 11th, 1989. Just a week before your birthday, Pete. Hugs, love, and kisses to all of you. Happy birthday, Pete.